Do you know what's wild about that? I was watching a video. There's this wild fucking Instagram page at the moment of this guy who's in Palestine at the moment. Or is it he's in Palestine at the moment.
Yeah.
And
on the Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
He's in the danger zone.
And he's taking pictures and helping and giving aid of relief to Palestinians.
Right.
And he's posting full pictures on his story of dead children and everything.
Yeah.
He's not holding back at all.
Boots on the ground.
And there was a building collapse. It's fucked. There was a building collapsed and they were ripping off the debris and you see all these like lifeless limbs.
Yeah.
And there was this one girl that was like a bit fucked. She was still alive, but she was fucked.
Yeah.
They pulled her out. Her stuff fell off, her hijab and all that.
Yeah, she put it back on.
The brother took his shirt off and put it on her. She's fucking decrepitly fucked.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's kind of it's kind of beautiful, but it's like, that's not necessary. She needs medical attention. But in another way, it's like, fuck, his first thought is to protect her. Probably that's maybe what she would want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a different kettle of fish as well. Because what's the first thing when people die? What do people do? They close their eyes. If they die with their eyes open, people will go and close the eyelids. What is it about? You put a veil over the dead. We cover our dead. You don't want it to be seen and known and understood. The thing we have now is social media and these... It used to be shown on the news and there was the barrier of should we show this in war times, to now that barrier is gone because we have the internet with social media, and so there are people that will have there with their phone, upload it, and now you're going to see, if you want to go see it.
Oh, you can watch anything, bro.
It is the easiest
on
way
Twitter,
to go view.
On Twitter or Instagram, I've seen so many pictures of dead children.
Yeah.
Like, not dead, like, just laying there, like, fucking limbs blown off.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, that's confronting in your face wartime footage.
Yeah, you just scrolling.
Yep.
And then fucking
mate. Yep.
memes, war.
Here's what happens if you follow hashtag trends and stuff, and you're getting onto that whole what's going on right now when there's a hot war zone somewhere in the world.
Kanye West is sitting back in his chair and he's just like, well.
Oh.
I told all of you.
I tried to tell you.
I told all of you, motherfucker.
I said walking in here, I was like, you shouldn't probably bring up the whole Palestinian because we'd be talking so out of turn about anything.
And by the way, I do not have any allegiance to any band. I don't understand the conflict.
We're two Australians.
I am oblivious to it. I don't watch the news. I'm so fucking oblivious to it.
But here's why. You're seeing what they used to show on the news as added context to try to describe with words the geopolitical disputes that would come up worldwide, which is what this is now. But this is what I was saying is now you have, if you want to know and you just go Gaza Strip bodies blown up in Google and then just make sure there's no filters, you're going to see a full war zone that's going on right now.
You can do your own journalism.
But again, it's going to be confronting because if you really think you want to see that over and over, and there was a debate of like social media, it's a human-run experiment that's quite recent, and we don't know the actual long-term effects that it will have on us with the lack of barriers.
Our generation is the perfect test dummies.
We're the test dummies because we were old enough.
We were the first ones.
Yeah, we were the ones where computers were when we were like, when I remember, we were like, under 10. You're around the 10 mark. And then all of a sudden it's going up from there because they're in schools to the actual internet and phones, and then it's apps, and all of a sudden children can't go without iPads. I follow my 1-year-old little nephew around, and he's just running after wanting to steal laptops because that's all he wants to bloody look at now. And it's that.
It's also hard. It's weird. That whole Palestine-Israel thing's really hard because all of the news and all of the media outlets are owned by Israelis. So
that's what you say. The information can be skewed one way, which is what with social media, at least it's almost a little more blatant because, the old school media, unless you go in and you look into it, you don't know who's backing it, you don't know who's financing it. This takes a lot of work to, if you really want to follow in about who finances advertising, marketing to go into the news, and that takes a bit of work for that to come to you. If you don't know and you're just watching Channel 7 News, mate, you don't know the Murdochs.
It's
you don't
George
know.
Soros.
It's George Soros. It says the Jews are taking over everywhere. Black helicopters are flying over here.
Alex Jones was right this whole time.
He's always right. Look at him. The man jags. He jags some hot ones about when shit hits the fan, because when things go bad, he's almost, because he's the doom and gloom type. So he's like, oh, well, yeah, he nailed that one again.
Bro, when he fucking was right about Epstein's Island and he was right about COVID-19.
That's why when he's the early adopter on conspiracies.
It gets weird.
Well,
it gets weird. Do you know who I like following? He's a bit of a dickhead, though. I like following his stuff, though, because he puts himself in really fucked up positions. Like, he's over in Gaza right now.
Oh.
He's Avi Amini.
Avi, the dude from here.
Bit of a dickhead, but he's a bit of he's our version of Alex Jones.
That's what I'd say. He's I like how it just labelled, because I was like, yeah, he's like the right winger from Australia.
Yeah, he's Alex. He goes and he puts himself in these really, really hard hitting scenarios. Like, he went to Alice Springs and looked at like all the crime happening. Like, he went and.
But that's what he was doing, and that's why he puts himself in the danger.
Yeah, which is real journalism.
Well, being that boots on the ground journalism, that's the difference. I will tie that back. Maybe we'll go a little bit lighter on this, because I'll talk about one of my favourite boots on the ground journalists was Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock, beautiful.
The guy that actually went boots on the ground to
Egypt.
To Egypt, for ancient civilizations, the idea of cataclysms and rewriting human history and the perspective from how did we get to where we are. And then he called him that he was like the modern Indiana Jones. He literally was going out seeking mysticism, ancient knowledge, the storyline of human history from what we're told from the mainstream narrative to what actually quote unquote could be the truth.
I've been going into some fucking deep hole. There is this channel on YouTube I need to show you after work. It's called World Lore or something. LORE, the lore of the world or something. And it's just like, he does all of these amazingly produced like little mini docos.
Yep.
And I went through a rabbit hole one night where I was up till like 4 a.m, like just
watching
binging him.
Yep.
He's got like a dinosaur series. He's got like a geographical series of like why only, if you look at a map of Australia, he highlights with red bits the places people actually live.
Right.
95% of Australia is uninhabited.
Yeah, it's all desert. The middle is arid.
But he explains why.
Yeah.
And he will explain why North Korea is legitimately almost impossible to escape.
Yeah.
He'll break it down with great graphics.
Have you ever heard the term prisoners of geography?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
They're prisoners of geography.
Yeah.
That's why Qatar, Doha, is the new powerhouse of the world, because geographically it's just fucking perfect.
And then think about who's seen so much trauma: Ukraine, Poland, the people on the fringes of major political powers on both sides.
How big Russia was.
Russia's giant,
mate.
mate.
Oh my god.
Russia's giant, mate. A lot of it is Iceland, and there's a bunch
Siberia
of uninhabitable shit. Why do you think they sent them to the gulags, mate? Why do you think the gulags were in Siberia? Because nobody wants to be out there, and yet it does have a tiny pocket of like some of the happiest blue-zoned people, because it's probably this little tight-knit community of still hunter-gatherer herders, and they're just trying to figure it out, but they're so closely connected. And like, I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
There's a town in Australia, like a stretch of like hundreds of thousands of kilometres, where the average person per square kilometre is 1.
What?
There's a town that spans for like thousands of k's.
Yeah.
And its inhabitants is like 110 people.
Well, yeah, we have a giant swath of land because no one can live out there. I mean, even when you drive through outback South Australia, through some
I've never done it.
What do you mean you haven't done it?
I've never driven I've never driven.
You don't have anyone that's out there, even like say a few hours out in one of the country towns?
I've driven to Wallaroo.
Yeah.
That's as far as I've been.
My dad's Moonta, and so that's in that district. Because there's
Even there,
Wallaroo,
you drive for
Kadina.
ages and there's nothing.
Well, that's the thing. It's the in-betweens. And so you're driving in those in-betweens when there's not farmland, and you're looking on one side and it's just natural growth. But you're like, no one's setting up infrastructure here. So this is just open land, but it was like, how much do you buy it? But then when nothing's set
Is it
up
because
around
it's
land,
Aboriginal owned?
I don't know.
No. But is a lot of Central Australia still Aboriginal owned?
No, but that's the thing. It's not so much. Here was the thing about Aboriginal owned. It was like Aborigines liked where we live now. The issue is when we came
On the
in
coast.
on the coast,
On the nice parts.
That's exactly right. We push them in.
Yeah.
We go and then we
No
say
one
that's
wants to live
Aboriginal
there.
owned. No one wants to live there.
Why don't they build casinos or something?
What? I don't think they're running the same game that the Native Americans figured out
They
with,
figured it
with
out.
the Americans, mate. They were like, well, you just come to this gambling hotspot and put fights here when the sanctioning bodies, no, this is our spot now. We
There's not enough.
used to go out.
There's not enough states.
What, in Australia?
Couldn't
Well,
they?
it's massive, man. We just have a massive landmass. But like you said, it's so much uninhabited.
It's unarable as well. You can't really grow
We
anything.
can't grow anything.
Which
And
is
that's the
cattle
main
stations.
thing. It's just dust.
Just
like,
cattle
we have a
stations.
giant dust land. And that's why even when you have cattle, though, then you've still got to import the food they can eat, which would be grass, because not even natural grass is growing
That
there.
bloke also, I haven't looked at it, but he also has a 45 or hour long video. It wasn't recent as well. He posted it like 6 months or a year ago, explaining the actual whole beef with the whole Israel-Palestine history.
There is, with this conflict coming up, they're actually... Yeah, again, I guess it depends on what shows up in your feed, because everyone's got an opinion on it now, right? But so what would be good content for, because everyone's doing now like a 10, 20-minute snippet, and what's a good channel and what skew are you going to get with the information on the divide and which angle they're going to come at it from, because obviously it's a long ass conflict that if you're not anyway known, you know what's going on, you can have no opinion. You can have an opinion on everything, but
There's a lot of people that'll just write a really catchy title to a video, read off of a script
what'll get it,
that
yep.
ChatGPT wrote, and they'll do it for views, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like that's
a cheap way to do it.
That's a cheap way to do it. At least I'm saying I don't know what the fuck's going on. I think if no one should drop bombs on anyone. Really.
wholeheartedly agree with that, mate.
Like that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, how about this? Go rally up your men, go give each other's guns, and go somewhere and go fight, and leave the kids out of it.
Okay, we'll tie that back to the fights then. Did you see, so Hamzat has his fight against Usman,
Yeah, great speech after.
right? The speech afterwards.
Great speech.
Did you hear the Russian translation that he spoke when there was no translator?
He's ready to go and fucking
He's
die.
ready to take a gun down to Palestine, and he's going to go there, and he's like, yeah, this is easy. This is not my Chechenian brothers. You go out there and do this. If you give me this chance, give me the gun. I'll go do it.
And you think people who thinks he's joking, he ain't joking.
I don't think he's joking at all.
Not with that cleft lip, mate.
The man's seen some business. But when he's like, if fighting in a cage, it's easy, but, to go out and do that. And so he gives one speech in English, though, and it tailors to one. Again, when you say misinformation, disinformation, multi-marketing, the man did it in one speech.
Yeah.
Lucky he didn't have an interpreter there to try. They'd be like, don't worry about this. No. They wouldn't have said it. He would have said it because he speaks English. They don't know that then he'll just launch off into a tirade speaking to a totally different demographic because he's speaking one for English, one for this market, and then he'll talk in Russian. But he's,
when I read the subtitles in Russian, I was like, oh, this is edited. He was like saying, I'm gonna go to jihad or whatever it is.
That's
for like
why.
my people. And I was like, this is edited.
Yep.
This has to be edited.
Yeah.
He's just saying like a nice message, but no, it was a full war cry.
He gave a war cry, mate. He was like, give me the gun. Give me the gun. I'll go down and do it.
It gets to a point where it's like, there was a great thing I seen, and I'm not picking a side. I'm a fan of a good speech,
Aren't we all? Good rhetoric, mate. I'm with you 100% on that.
I'm a fan of a good speech that gives you goosebumps. And there was this bloke, a part of a protest, and he was Palestinian, and they're from the UK. He's a big TikTok person. He's he's a comedian of some sort, and he goes, why do we wait 30 years for people to be known as heroes like Nelson Mandela? If Nelson Mandela was sitting here right now and saying what I'm saying, you wouldn't accredit him until he was dead 30 years later. Why don't we just stop the action now?
Yeah.
Or there will be an extremist that's going to come and do something really extreme.
Yep.
you
Unfortunately,
know what I mean?
isn't that the dark side of how humans act? We only act almost through trauma.
And there will be something extreme.
Man, there's things extreme right now. They're blowing each other up.
Yeah,
Right now in
there's
Palestine,
going to
they're
be
blowing each other
something.
up.
There'll be something that will. Do you know what scared the fuck out of me? Because I don't follow. I make an active effort not to. Because I'll go into full panic mode and I'll think about it every day.
You're saying this right now as a man that's just told me about all the dead kid pictures that show up on your feed. I'm on my socials that I'm trolling, mate. I'm getting no pictures that I know about it, but I am not getting the. I don't know how much you're on the X's, but I am not getting the pictures because I'm like, I don't need to be seeing dead kids every day while I'm out trying to lay a roof, man. I don't need to be adding that to my life. Oh, you get it though, right?
But like, I make an active effort not to. When coronavirus was around, I didn't watch any news because I would have just freaked out all the time.
Well, it corrupts your mind.
Yeah,
It literally,
fucks ya.
it becomes a brain virus. Like that's what Gard Saad talks about. That like mind viruses, brain parasites, things, and not literal biological ones, which there are and are terrifying. But you know, there's actual mind viruses, like downloading of data into your head that a bad set of coding, a bad set of ideas that then you can't unload. Like it's very difficult to unscript it. You got to rewipe the hard drive, which would get into like psychedelics, and what they do is literally like rewiping a hard drive. Otherwise, there's probably some ways to do it, but what would be effective to overcome trauma of some description?
So because I don't watch it, I get my information from people usually.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, this would be a great time to do a podcast with Sun.
Yeah.
Like the bloke that I did a podcast with. He's very in touch with what happened.
Former private contractor, I would say very
he's a military man.
Way more in depth as a military man, knowing about
politics.
foreign policy and knowing politics and knowing where they'd be looking at in terms of sending boots on the ground and knowing what would be a hot war, a cold war, in between.
So I messaged him and I was like, we should do a podcast. He's like, yeah, we will do one. He's busy at the moment, but we'll do one eventually, like soon.
Yeah.
And I was like, how bad's this going to be? And he's like, it's going to be biblical.
Oh, no. Oh, son.
And I was like, that is not what I wanted you to say.
Way to paint a picture. Way to really
That's
bring it
the
home.
worst. That's literally the worst thing you could have said.
Right. Raining down hell and fire and brimstone.
I came home.
Oh, jeez.
I came home and I was like, Yaz, we're all fucked. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we are all fucked.
The man has spoken, and all of a sudden I can't unforget it.
I was outside. I was just chain smoking cigarettes. I was like, what's the point?
What's the fucking lighting up a dart, just going, the world's coming.
That's why I can't get like too deep into things like this.
You say that
because I'll turn all the lights off outside and I'll just sit in the dark and chain smoke cigarettes.
To the end of time. Don't worry about the Buddha. He sat there quietly. As long as Sam's got a cigarette, he'll sit there just meditating, just going, we're fucked, we're fucked.
I have a podcast to do tomorrow, and I was like, I'm going to cancel it. There's no point.
Oh no, he's going end of days. He's really taking it seriously. You just can't live that life, mate.
When the aliens came,
oh my god.
When the aliens came and like after the trials with the aliens, I went into work that morning and I was like to Mum, we're all fucked.
I remember you saying that last time.
There's no point. We're all fucked.
You were saying that to your mum. We're like, it just doesn't matter.
Let's close the shop. We're all fucked.